Hello, Shin Megami Tensei fans! I bet we're all in a pretty good mood today, aren't we? In that short, oh so short 8-minute presentation, the one that front-loaded itself with Cadence of Hyrule DLC, some game I already forgot about, and that wrestling game I mentioned only a few days ago, we finally got the information that Shin Megami Tensei fans have wanted since January of 2017. A third teaser for Shin Megami Tensei V. Which doesn't sound all that exciting when I say it like that, but this one was cool. We got to see our protagonist, who for the first time in a long time just looks like a normal dude. We got to see this guy, I'm excited to learn more about who that is, some cool new demon designs, and a release window highlighting a worldwide release in 2021. So it's nice to know that when it does come out in Japan, we aren't gonna have to wait another 6 months on top of that. Still waiting on that Strikers announcement. Also, I want to be clear that I have once again been wrong about something Shin Megami Tensei V related. Happily so, mind you, but I think it's in everyone's best interest if I just don't make predictions about this game anymore. While I am incredibly excited for Shin Megami Tensei V, the big announcement that really pumped me up was they also let us know that Shin Megami Tensei III, known to most of us as Nocturne, was going to be getting an HD remaster early next year. This new version includes voice acting, obviously nicer graphics, and sorry Dante from the Devil May Cry series fans, but it looks like this one is using the special Raido version that was released in the special editions of Devil Summoner 2 in Japan. Like the direct itself said, Nocturne is a bit of a cult classic. It's often praised for its darker atmosphere that makes it a bit more unique compared to other RPGs, and most famously, its incredible difficulty, but Nocturne isn't actually that hard, it just has a lot of RNG to its mechanics. Truth be told, I myself have never really liked Nocturne very much, for reasons I'm not looking to get into today. I gotta save some stuff for when I eventually do a full video on it. But to put it simply, I am very excited to see Nocturne get this remaster treatment. I probably still won't love the game, but many of the issues I did have with it stemmed from its age, as it was one of Atlus's first attempts at a whole new style of RPG. While I don't love Nocturne, I am excited for this release just as much as any other title they could announce. And hey, if this does well, a Digital Devil Saga bundle pack, maybe? I'm getting ahead of myself here. Today is a day of love and positivity, two emotions that are pretty hard to find in the crumbled wasteland of the Vortex world. So while I may not love Nocturne, I am happy to share with you all 5 things that I do truly enjoy about it. If one of the most jaded fans can praise this game in such a manner, maybe I can convince some of you to pick the game up for yourselves. I don't imagine I'm going to be twisting many arms here. Alright, so starting out, let's make the first one the most obvious one. I really like the press turn system. This is the game where it originated, after all. For those of you that have no idea what the press turn system is, not only have you not played Nocturne, but apparently you've skipped out on Digital Devil Saga and most other Shin Megami Tensei titles since this one. The reason Atlus keeps bringing this system back is because it's a good one. It's beautiful in its simplicity. So, basically, with a few exceptions like boss fights and stuff, each member of your party gets 1 turn per turn. This is normal for any RPG, right? Well, in Nocturne, these turns are represented by these tokens. So a party of Demi-Fiend and 3 demons has 4 tokens, yeah? Well, to reward players for properly exploiting enemy weaknesses, that 1 turn can become 2 turns. So suddenly, a round of taking 4 actions, if you play your cards right, can become a round of 8 actions. You can even use pass to get a guaranteed half turn if you want a certain party member to act more than once. Likewise, the game will punish you if you do stupid stuff, like use a fire spell on a demon that is immune to fire attacks, causing you to lose actions. This works for friend and foe alike, so it's important to get the most out of your turn. The system also rewards and punishes things that are a bit more out of your control, like getting critical hits or simply just missing, but hey, that's what Sukukaja is for, right? The next thing I want to talk about are the special conversations. There aren't very many of these in the game, but they are such a treat to me. Conversations did exist in previous Megaten games, sure, most notably the first 3 Persona titles, but I believe Nocturne was the first game to actually have these conversations being demon to demon rather than demon to, well, Persona. conversations are exactly what they sound like. Certain demons know each other. So if you try to negotiate with them in battle, they'll talk to each other. Sometimes it'll be a married couple like Ame no Uzume and Sarutahiko, or siblings like Chimera and Cerberus. These are just fun little scenes that honestly don't serve much mechanical purpose, but I love that they're there because they're just enjoyable, and I love when any Megaton game actually acknowledges the mythology of these demons, rather than just treating them like grimdark Pokemon. I also really like Demon Evolution, where you've got stuff like Satanta will actually evolve or grow up into Cucullin, but I didn't want to give that its own spot, so it's just kind of getting an honorable mention thrown in here. Number 3 is that Nocturne is a surprisingly atmospheric game. The music tends to do a pretty great job of fitting wherever you are. Several of the areas actually do feel like an abandoned mall or a hospital that's just enough in disarray since, you know, the world ended. Certain places feel genuinely spooky, especially the areas where it's so dark you'll need to cast the Nocturne equivalent of HM05 to get around. I should probably lay off the Pokemon references, huh? A small part of me is really hoping this remaster gets rid of random encounters and instead has enemies spawning on the map like in Shin Megami Tensei IV, because honestly, the only problem with the atmosphere was how quickly sucked out of it you are when you're pulled into a fight. While I don't really like many of Nocturne's dungeons very much, I do like the sense of dread and despair that several of the areas managed to convey. I think a large part of this was actually in part to how simplistic many of Nocturne's dungeons appear in terms of like textures and stuff. And I am curious if the HD remaster is going to be able to keep that, or if the better graphics are actually going to hurt the overall aesthetic. Basically, I'm wondering if it's going to pull a Silent Hill 2 HD on us. Okay, I'm going to keep number 4 short because I do want to avoid major spoilers in this video, but the mannequins. I adore these things. See, after the world ended, you don't exactly have a lot of NPCs in Nocturne, because most people are dead. Sure, there are a few ghosts floating around, and you've pretty much always got some demons you can talk to, but some of the most important NPCs you'll encounter in this game are the mannequins. These are basically exceptionally strong human spirits that sought new bodies after theirs were destroyed in the conception. They were able to make these bodies out of literal dirt. The mannequins typically just want to live in peace, and they do have their own subplot throughout the story that, again, I'm not going to get into much detail with here. But their awkward, jerky movements, their strong desires to build a better world for themselves, all of these things really made me like these characters and feel for them in a game where you're not exactly surrounded by likable people. I legit care more about Futomimi than any other character in this game. I mean it. All praise to Futomimi. And lastly, the main thing I can and will praise about Nocturne until the cows come home, the boss battles. Nocturne has some incredibly memorable boss battles. Do you all remember in my Shin Megami Tensei 1 video where I beat a boss in like 9 seconds by just setting everyone to auto battle? Yeah, if you try to do that in Nocturne, you are not gonna last very long. Unlike many RPGs, including several other Megaton games, Nocturne's boss battles are not just normal enemies that hit harder and have way more HP. Almost every boss battle has some sort of trick up their sleeve that makes it an enjoyable and memorable fight, and I love how often the bosses utilize the game's mechanics in clever ways. There's one boss who can make shadow clones of himself, but if you're fighting him when the Kagetsuchi shines brightest, essentially the full moon, the real one will cast a shadow, making the fight way easier because you've sucked out all of the challenge, but it's still insanely memorable, and I love that they used the mechanics like that. There's a very good reason that whenever you talk about this game, people will often bring up Matador or Mot, because those are boss fights that really manage to leave a lasting impression. Especially Mot, because he can do, you know... Okay, maybe the press turn system isn't always a good thing. But for real, the boss battles are some of my favorite parts of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. Even when they're difficult and I have to restructure my entire team to stand a fighting chance. Heck, especially when I have to do that. Even the most frustrating dungeons in Nocturne were usually worth it for the fantastic boss battles waiting for me at the end, and I could honestly recommend the entire game if only for this part of it. Even if there is one part in the boss battle music where to me it sounds like they're saying, "You suck my balls." Like, I know that's not what they're saying, but this is a weird note to end the video on.